Hey, I just want to talk to you really quickly about unloading the trucks and the food distribution team. These are vital parts of your volunteers and making sure that you have them in place to be able to do both of these, because a lot of times we will forget that we're going to need our volunteers to get there about an hour, maybe 2 hours early to begin to unload the product, depending on the sizes of your outreach again. And in the outreach that we're talking about, you're going to need your volunteers to actually get there about 2 hours to unload these trucks. So that way the volume of items can be unloaded in a timely fashion. And so that way you can stay on schedule for your outreach, because it's so important to make sure that, as you've already communicated through social media, as you've done all these other things, to make sure that you have everything set up and ready to go. So unloading the truck is obviously going to be one of the biggest parts of the outreach, because you're going to need all your volunteers to arrive early and to begin to unload that truck. Now, there's various options and ways to do this. The best way is if you have a semi-load of food, to obviously rent a forklift and a pallet jack and have one on the truck and one on the ground so you can place the food. It's strategic placements. It's so important to make sure that you group the food in the right areas. And if you don't have a forklift and a pallet jack for the trucks and all those things, then you're going to have to hand unload it. And that's still important, to have a strategic placement for your food and everything as it comes off the truck, because you're going to need to know where it goes as they unload it. Well, you've got 5 or 6 guys hand unloading it, 5 or 6 guys carrying it to a place. Let's make sure that you know where it's going, because you don't want to have to double handle any one item more than you have to. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that as you're unloading the truck by hand, you're going to have a space marked off for those items to go, because you want to make sure that if you're hand unloading it, you're not overworking or wearing out your volunteers too fast before the outreach even starts. So unloading the truck is such an important part. Figure out what way you're going to need to use. If it's hand unloading it, get your volunteers there early and get a lot. If you have a forklift and a pallet jack, make sure that you still get there early so that way you can get everything done, because you never know what might happen. Your pallet jack might break, your forklift might not work properly, but make sure you get there a couple hours early to be able to hand unload it or use a forklift. Second of all, when you are using strategic planning for your food distribution and those teams, you're going to want to do this. You're going to want to make sure that if you have 500 boxes of produce or dairy or ice cream or bread, whatever it is, you're going to want to strategically place them. And that's where the food distribution team and the truck team kind of work hand in hand, because you're not going to want to put 300 boxes of produce here and 300 boxes of produce back there. You're going to want to put them together. You're going to want to group them, because this is going to help the food distribution team keep a mindful count of what product they have. Because if it's all right here, all the produce is here, all the vegetables that you have are in one area, as well as the ice cream or whatever product you received is all grouped together, your volunteers are going to be able to help you on the logistical side know what they're running out of in a timely fashion. So that way, if they need more, they can just say, hey, we're low on this, and it can be replenished. Or that way the logistical coordinator can say, hey, well, when we run out of that, we're done. We don't have any more product to put out. So you're going to need to make sure that you are communicating with your teams. That means your truck team, that means your food distribution team, to make sure that they're putting the items grouped together so it makes it flow much easier. Because you don't want to have a bunch of confusion because you're looking for a few more boxes of produce or chicken or ice cream or bread. But grouping it together is going to simplify the process. And hey, work smarter, not harder. Make this process easier on you. Take away the stress of everything else, because your volunteers are already going to be working so hard. So make sure that your volunteers are clear. They know a clear direction of what you're expecting of them. And with the food distribution team, it's so important that you communicate with them about what to do, the procedures of that team. They're going to need to show up early. They're going to need to possibly help unload the truck and help look over the inventory to make sure that they have the right items set in the right place and know the food that is available. Also, what they're going to be is they're going to be key people. The food distribution teams are going to be those people who are set at a particular station to distribute the food. For example, the produce. You're going to have people distributing the produce. Well, those people who are distributing the produce, they have to be there and greeting those people, making sure that they're cheerful, they're smiling, because they might be the first encounter that people will see. So let them be the best representation of Jesus. So as they are loading those boxes into the car, having a smile, saying Jesus loves you, because they want to know that, hey, you know what? This is an opportunity. They get to share into the gospel while they're loading these items into the car. So it's so important that we continue to focus on, with the distribution teams, with everything that we're doing, we make sure to be the best representation of God in every avenue. And then we're also going to ask the cars, hey, where would you like me to load this? Would you like me to load this in your back seat, the trunk, the cab of your truck? They're going to make sure that they follow according. We're going to encourage you. One thing that we encourage is that they look and be mindful of their surroundings as the cars are passing by, work to load everything. And also, they should have a number marked on their window of, hey, are they picking up for one family, two families, three families? That food distribution team, as they get ready to load the box to make their job easier, they're going to look for the number marked on their window. Oh, they're only picking up for one family? Great. All right, we already know how many boxes we need. One box of produce is going into the back seat of this car. 2 boxes of produce go into the back seat of the car. And then they can continue to move efficiently and effectively through the line, not bottlenecking, not causing any backup, but it continues to flow smoothly. And the last thing that our food distribution team should do is they should have a cheerful attitude and making sure to say things like, God bless you, Jesus loves you, and we were so honored to see you today. Because what you say brings life, and you're going to be able to encourage and empower and continue to lead those people to a deeper relationship with the Lord as they continue to make it through the food distribution line. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us today as we shared about this manual. I know each and every teaching is going to continue to empower you and guide you into an effective outreach.